There's a moment every American abroad eventually realizes, but nobody says it out loud. You look around and you notice something strange. Mexicans create neighborhoods, Dominicans create rhythms and gathering spots, Somalis build economic pipelines, Jewish communities create infrastructure, the Chinese build commerce and safety networks. But Americans, we scatter. We build nothing around us. We show up alone, live alone, and leave alone. It's like we moved abroad but brought isolation with us in our suitcase. And for the first time, you ask yourself, why can everyone else build a home abroad except Americans? Most Americans assume the reason is logistical. They assume it's because we don't speak the language yet, we don't know the laws, we don't understand the culture, or we're just trying to adjust. But that's not actually the reason, because other groups have those same obstacles, and they still build entire ecosystems around themselves. They build restaurants, they build legal support systems, they build mentorship ladders, they build generational safety nets. Americans don't replicate themselves, we isolate ourselves. Not because we can't build community, but because we were never taught how. American culture teaches people to be independently strong, but never collectively connected. We grow up hearing things like this: don't rely on anyone, be self made, do it yourself, prove you can handle it alone. We learn to see asking for help as weakness. We learn to see interdependence as dependency. We learn to see community as something you earn, not something you are given. So when Americans move abroad, they don't form networks, they form escape pods. Gatherings feel temporary, friendships feel optional, connections feel like debt. Everyone else is building roots. We're building exits. Picture this: there's a Saturday morning market overseas. You watch a Dominican family greet the vendor like they've known each other for 20 years. A Chinese shop owner quietly hires within his community. A Somali guy shows a newcomer which lawyer to trust. A Mexican family helps another find housing. Then an American arrives. They're quiet, polite, hands in their pockets. He pays full price, he leaves, no negotiation, no connection, no network. Not because he's rude, not because he's arrogant, because he genuinely doesn't know another way to exist. Everyone else is building a village. We're building privacy. So I'm going to break this down into three groups of different types of Americans and how they are when they move abroad. The first group we're going to call the floating Americans. These are the ones who show up abroad like long term tourists. They eat alone, they live alone, they move apartments every 6 months, never meet their neighbors. They don't feel unsafe, but they don't feel rooted. They tell themselves, I'm just independent like that. But what they really mean is, I don't know how to belong. Then you have the next group. These are the closed door Americans. These are the ones who want community, but don't know the steps to build one. They don't know how to ask, where do I find my people? How do I integrate? Who do I trust? So instead of risking embarrassment, they disappear. They hope community finds them, but it doesn't. They think community just happens, but it doesn't. Community is built intentionally. Then there's the last group. We'll call this group the Americans in translation. These are the ones who feel the shift. They start to question, why do I feel guilty asking for help? Why do I feel suspicious of kindness? Why do I feel afraid of relying on anyone? They realize it's not a cultural gap, it's a cultural hangover. They are detoxing from the only system they've ever known, individualism without infrastructure. Everyone else learned to build community like a muscle. Americans learn to survive like a performance. Americans don't build communities abroad because in America, community is a privilege. Abroad, for everyone else, it's a survival skill. In the US, community is optional. Abroad, community is oxygen. America never trained us to rely on each other. We were trained to compete with each other. America taught us to stand out. Other cultures teach people to stand together. There is no judgment in that, only recognition. This is the shock Americans face abroad. Other nations arrive thinking we build a life. Americans arrive thinking we build a lifestyle. One is internal, one is external, one is connection, one is presentation. One builds a home, one builds a highlight reel. This is why Americans abroad don't feel unsafe. They feel unseen, not invisible, just unrooted. Like we are standing next to community instead of standing inside of it. This isn't about failure, it's about conditioning. This isn't about Americans lacking culture, it's about Americans lacking permission. Permission to ask, permission to belong, permission to lean, permission to not be alone. If we had grown up watching our parents build community the same way other cultures do, we would know how to do it with muscle memory. But we didn't. So we're learning in real time. And learning in adulthood feels like failure when it's actually evolution. There is no call to action here, no checklist, no how to fix it, because this isn't about what Americans should do. It's about what Americans were never taught. We go abroad to escape the system, but the system follows us in our habits, in our instincts, in our silence, in the way we enter a room, in the way we avoid asking for help, in the way we try to earn belonging instead of allowing it. This is the quiet truth. Americans don't fail to build community abroad. America failed to show us how to build one anywhere. And for the first time, we are learning what home means without needing a border to define it.